Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Bell. It is Monday, April 29th, 2024. It is 60 seconds after the bell, which means it is time to go beyond the news, beyond the charts, beyond the bell. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at the Blue Sky Trading Company for the clearest path to a live brokerage account. Live trading with Mike every day in the Discord. In this outstanding show, you have no reason to go anywhere else. Get your content, get your accounts, get your brokerage accounts. Check us out at bluesky.pro. Well, it is Monday, guys. That's about all I can say for today, of course. Monday of an FOMC week, and we're going to talk about that momentarily. First of all, hello, Mike. Hello, Drawdown King. Chris, Raxeth, Henrique, Brian, hello. All right. Shane came right in here. First of all, Shane, congratulations on getting funded. Now you lost your funded account. Okay, I'm truly sorry to hear that. So let me just give you a couple of pieces of general advice. Obviously, I don't know your individual situation. I can't coach you without some back and forth. But let me just give you. I always like to go do these mental exercises and go back and say, okay. Obviously, I took a different path to trading for a living than a lot of you take because you're going through these funded account companies like Blue Sky, which are great, right? They give you access to an amount of capital you may not otherwise, and leverage that you may not otherwise have access to, okay? I wish these things existed when I first started trading. I would have just blown a bunch of evals rather than losing 40-plus grand of money. So anyway, let me just give you a couple of small pieces of advice and go from there. First of all, I recommend, rather than just jump right back into an eval, take tomorrow off, okay? And I don't mean, you can sim trade if you want to, paper trade if you want to. I don't know how long you've been going at it. Maybe that has limited returns. But I want you to spend at least a little time in kind of some introspection. I want you to spend at least a couple of hours tomorrow. As much as it sucks to think back on blowing a funded account, and I don't know if you were in Blue Live or brokerage, you're more than welcome to enlighten me on that, but obviously since we're kind of streaming in public, we don't need too many details, but you can just give me, you were in brokerage. Okay, so here's the good news, Shane. This is good news, right? You passed your eval, you passed your Blue Live, and you made it into brokerage, okay? That's a long journey, but you know what? You did it once, you can do it again. I believe in you, okay? So I want you to take tomorrow, and I just want you to just look back at some of these trades and say, okay, what did I do differently in brokerage that I didn't do in Blue Live and what I didn't do in eval? Now, again, if you blew it specifically today, we're going to talk about today momentarily. It was a tough day to trade, okay? I refer to today, for those of you in the Discord, as a politician's market, right? A politician, I don't care where they come from, what state, what local, what party, whatever. Politicians are an expert at talking for hours and truly saying nothing, right? Not unlike a lot of educators out there, trading educators. Not naming any names, people at other companies, but we'll stay away from that. Today was a politician's market. The market moved a lot, but didn't really go anywhere. And we'll break down the markets momentarily, but I want to finish up with Shane really quickly because Shane, you did get a withdrawal, so you're okay. So you're ahead of the game, right? So you're net positive in that particular account. So that's good, okay? Now, I'm glad you're upset that you blew the account because that will motivate you to continue to improve and continue to be better, okay? So I will just say that, yeah, first of all, if you don't keep a trading journal, Shane, I would recommend taking a portion of your withdrawal and starting one, whether it's TraderView that you get a discount on with Blue Sky, TraderSync, TradeZella, EdgeWonk. There's a ton of them out there. I've only really used TraderSync the last few years, but I've had a couple of clients that have said really good things about TradeZella as well. So that's what I want you to do, Shane. I want you to take tomorrow, just figure out kind of what went wrong. Tomorrow's probably not going to be a whole lot better than today in terms of trading because we're going to lead into FOMC on Wednesday. And then I want you to just kind of appreciate that you made some progress, right? You made a withdrawal. Okay, that's a lot further than a lot of people get. So appreciate the progress you made. Figure out what happened and where you went wrong, and then get right back on the horse. Okay, I'm not saying you go in and there's going to be temptation to pass an eval right away, right? To pass it in the minimum 3, 4, 5, 8 days, whatever, right? Just give yourself permission to take your time with that. If you want to wait till the next sale on a static account, hey, do that, okay? But in the meantime, keep getting some practice reps in on the sim, learn what you did wrong, and make a plan for what you're going to do in the future. Okay, well then, Shane, then you know. All right, over leverage, got a little greedy. Fear and greed drive a lot of our decisions. All right, but honestly, dude, you made the brokerage. That is a nice accomplishment. You should be happy with that, but not satisfied. It's okay to be happy with accomplishments. It's okay to be happy that you passed your eval, happy that you passed your blue live, happy that you made your first withdrawal, happy that you made your first 100,000. But never, ever in this game should you be satisfied. That's when people get complacent, and that's when they do stupid things. But if you blew out your first brokerage funded account, I imagine a lot of people do that as well. So, Shane, I want to hear from you in a few weeks how you're doing. I want you to either email me, I want you to come on this show and tell me how you're doing, direct message me in Discord, wherever the case may be. In about 2 or 3 weeks, I want you to reach out. All right, guys. So, impromptu coaching session for the first few minutes of the show, but that's okay. Hopefully, you all learned something about that as well. In the meantime, guys, let us go to the big picture. So, as I said, guys, look at this selling tail. Now, we still have a little time on this candle, but look at this selling tail on the ES here. Okay, actually, I want to go to the NQ because the NQ's it's a little easier to see because we're still right in this zone of previous support, right? Again, previous support becomes resistance. Previous resistance becomes support. One of the core tenets of technical analysis, especially charting, right? So we had this consolidation area that acted as support. Support gave up. Sure enough, we're right back up here and we're consolidating again, which tells us we're going to need conviction to either move up or move down. We had neither today. We didn't have enough bullish conviction. We didn't have enough bearish conviction. And guys, there's one reason behind that, one macro reason, and it's right here on Wednesday. Fed interest rate decision. Okay. Now, there's no drama in the Fed rate, right? Actually, I showed this in my morning market briefing this morning. I don't have a thing. But anyway, there's the Fed, basically there's a 97% chance of the Fed not moving rates on Wednesday. So there's very little drama there. What the drama is going to be is when Fed Chairman Powell, a.k.a. Jay Powell, money printer go brrr, right? So, yes, I do. I've never posted on Wall Street Bets, but it is an endless source of entertainment for me and other trading educators. I can promise you every trading educator in the world just pops into that thread just for entertainment at least once a month. But anyway, we're going to want to hear what he says. Fed speakers over the next few weeks are going to be highly liquid market-moving events because the big money is going to want to know when their money gets a little cheaper. Remember, they had free money for a very long time, okay? And now we're in a situation where the Fed's trying to cool off inflation, right? Again, the Fed has one tool, rates, right? And the old phrase, when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, really sort of applies here. We're not going to break down the economics of this because for day traders, for technical analysis day traders, the economics don't really matter. We don't really care where the market goes. We just want it to go somewhere, and we want to have a clear signal of when it's going to do that, right? Okay, Shane, I do want to, can I ask them to only give me micros once I get in the brokerage? Okay, well, Shane, honestly, once you're in the brokerage, I mean, please don't take this the wrong way. Once you're in the brokerage, you're a big boy. If you can't control your trading, you putting stuff into place isn't going to help, right? Excuse me. If you only want to do micros, only do micros. At some point, even if you put steps into place and you continuously, excuse me, just a second, guys. Sorry, a little throat tickle there that I needed to cough out, and I didn't figure you guys really wanted to hear that. So you honestly just, you truly need to put those into place yourself, right? And yeah, I mean, this is ultimately, it's great that there's tools like an RTrader Pro that you can set drawdowns and stuff. And for more inexperienced traders, that may be necessary. Shane, you made it to brokerage. So again, you didn't just pass an eval, you passed 2 tests. So again, as disappointing as it is today, I do want you to make sure and maybe you didn't take time to acknowledge your progress along the way and appreciate it and understand how valuable it is. Do that, okay? You're ahead of the game. You just need to, again, the horse just kicked you or kicked you off, right? Horse just threw you. I don't ride horses, so I don't know the terminology. But I do know, what do they tell you? Get back on it. So take a day. Maybe wait till after FOMC, like on Thursday, to get back. Maybe take a couple of days, do a combination of sim trading, watch a couple trading psychology videos. If you've never read The Disciplined Trader by Mark Douglas, I consider that mandatory reading. Go. It's probably at your local bookstore if you have one nearby. If not, BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon, wherever can get it to you probably in 1 to 2 days. It is the single best book on trading that I have ever read, will ever read, and I recommend it to everybody. So I wish Mr. Douglas was still around, and I wish he had a company I could buy stock in, because I would put a lot of money into anything that he says, literally and figuratively. Okay. we keep cycling back. Yeah, Shane, no problem, man. Like, hey, when somebody comes to this show and we like to celebrate things. I always tell people, if you pass your eval, you move into brokerage, I want you to tell me on the show so we can take a moment and applaud you and celebrate you. But you did the big boy thing. You came in here and admitted that you made a couple mistakes, and I'm assuming by admitting that you were seeking at least a little input from me. So I was hopefully some of that helps. But again, once the disappointment is done, acknowledge that you made some progress and be ready to go again. All right. So, again, look at this chart, guys, on the 4-hour. We didn't really do much today, right? We kind of stayed in a for the most part, we stayed within this tight little range outlined on this particular chart. And when we go to the 5-minute, guys, again, we basically opened here, right? So this is our 8:30 candle. I'm going to put a line at our open. We're going to scrunch this up just a little bit. I'm going to put a line at our open and watch what happens, guys. So the open was basically right there. Okay, so there's our open, and basically we closed right about here. So for all of this, for all this movement, we didn't really go anywhere, okay? We drove around the block, basically. Right? I love the example of the politicians market, and that's not an invite for anybody to say this politician good or bad or whatever. We're not going to get into that tribalism right here. What I'm just saying is that we can all agree that politicians love to talk, and very often they don't say anything, right? So the same thing happened today. And honestly, guys, other than these two candles here, so the second and third 5-minute candle of the day, and this candle here at 3 o'clock Eastern, there wasn't a lot. I mean, there's, nice little movement up here, but even this is not, all these buying tails at the top of these candles, this is not really conviction of price movement, right? And volume was pretty low across the board, other than, I don't know if this comes out well on the YouTube, but other than, these three little sections of the chart right here, and of course the end of the day, which, power hour always shows up a little lot. But yeah, just not a whole lot going on, not a lot of clear signals, guys. This is the 6th or 7th day of the year. I didn't make a single trade, and that's because I didn't see an A setup. I got to see A setups on FOMC week. You're not going to see me taking a lot of B- B setups, maybe a B+, but A- minimum setups on FOMC day, just because it's really tough. So it's just, yeah, Mark Douglas is, I'll go further, Rax. I'll say he is the GOAT. Because the guy did it. He made millions, then lost millions, did it a couple of times over. And then he was, rather than just, retire or go away, he just said, you know what? I wonder why I did this. I was doing the same crap all the way through all this. Why was I making money or losing money when market conditions should have been, good? So he started to investigate things and did a lot of interview. Again, he looked at psychology from a trading perspective. Brett Steenbarger is one who, his books are a little more technical, but he looked at he looked at trading from a psychology perspective, so sort of the other way. Obviously, the Jared Tendler does really good performance work as well. So yeah, any of those kind of stuff. But Mark Douglas, everybody that has gotten into this field owes him for starting the field of trading psychology. Right? Because, back in the 70s with, the big money traders, they lost money. They just went and drank a lot and, then went back to work the next day and lost more money, right? Mark Douglas was one of the first people to really ask why and start investigating those types of things. So highly, highly encourage that. James, today was my best day over the past 2 weeks. That's outstanding. And actually, James, that leads us into our lesson of the day. So today's lesson of the day, guys. Now, James, you've watched this show, so anytime you have a plan, anytime you have a setup that is conducive to, the market is conducive to your style, that's great. But that's really the lesson of the day, guys, is to understand your style of trade. Every style of trading has an ideal market. Like today is just not an ideal market for my style of trading, right? Fairly low 5-minute ATR. Dev width is pretty low today. The standard deviation width on, so between VWAP plus 1 standard deviation, plus 1 standard deviation to plus 2 standard deviation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And so when I see, here, let me move the drawings for a second. When I see, for me personally, one of the things I can look at a chart and immediately know if it's the style of day I want, when these dev bands just sort of tuck in here and become basically parallel, and there's little to no slope on the VWAP, that's not a momentum day, and that's not a day I'm going to get a lot done. I'm going to bet if I try to overtrade on a day like today, it's going to be death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? Or at least 7 or 8 pretty large paper cuts. So for me, when this little block of trading, I don't usually trade the first 15 or 20 minutes. I had one setup down in here, which I actually set an order for, which did not fill for a further breakdown here based on one of my setups. But once we got in here, guys, I want to bring this area a little bit more to the forefront here. And we're going to stretch this out, but this really isn't a big area, right? Again, we need conviction in the markets. And when we see, I don't care if you want to call them tails, shadows, wicks, whatever the case may be, when you see a lot of them in succession going the different directions, it's a market without conviction. It's a market without momentum. And for me, I need conviction and I need momentum. Now, if your style is such that, hey, a market like this, maybe you're I don't use the term scalper pejoratively, so nobody get mad at me, but if you're, maybe playing for smaller moves in the NQ or ES, today might have been a good day for you. Okay, and obviously, James said it was one of his best days the last couple of weeks, so congratulations to that. Stratton caught a good run from resistance to support on MES. Okay, hey, that's, again, you followed a setup, you took the setup, and you did what you did. That's great. Keep doing it, right? But that's one of the hardest things, I think, in trading, guys, and it only comes with experience. It's not something that can come by, don't get me wrong, as somebody who sells trading courses and communities and stuff like that, I think those can really be helpful, but there's not necessarily a course, there's not necessarily a book that can teach you definitively how to identify days that are very conducive to your strategies. That's just an experience thing, okay? I've said it 100 times probably literally 100 times on this show, and I will say it 100 more before a couple months have passed. When I first got into day trading, we're talking about 5-ish years ago, and I asked for some advice from somebody I trusted very, very deeply, who was a very good day trader. And I said, what's the most important thing kind of making that transition from swing trading, which I had been doing successfully for a few years, into day trading? And he said, he didn't even hesitate. He said, screen time. And I said, yeah, but he said, no, screen time. Well, but what about, no, screen time. Screen time, being in front of your screens, watching what goes on. I believe Josh and I actually had this conversation a few weeks ago where, we just talked about the fact that, there's a lot of things that separate a profitable trader from a non-profitable trader. But in most situations, it's just going to be the fact that I have sat, not at this exact desk, but my desk upstairs, I have sat and probably watched 500,000, 1 million. I don't know the exact number. I could probably do some math on it. But let's say 500,000. I've watched 500,000 candles open and close in real time in front of my face on my screen. And our brains are remarkable pattern recognition devices. Okay, we don't trade by gut or intuition or anything like that. However, our brains will occasionally get, talk to us a little bit. Say, hey, no, what you're about to do, we've seen this before. Don't do it, right? Or you're, debating a trade. Says, yeah, this is, your brain's going, wait a minute. Yeah, this is what we're looking for here, dude. Go. Don't hesitate. As Mark Douglas says, you see a setup, don't hesitate. But you got to be sure it's a good setup. That's a whole nother conversation. Okay, so. Well, I don't know if bad dreams, Johan, about your account means you shouldn't trade. I think it's really more market conditions. I think you're kind of getting into some superstition there. But if you didn't feel mentally right to trade, then you did the right thing in not trading. I'll never. There's trading platforms that have like lunar cycle stuff built in that you can have labeled on your chart. Don't even get me started on that garbage. But again, like I say that, but if somebody can demonstrate I say minimum 500 trades of some sort of strategy that relies on lunar cycles, then and it's profitable, I guess more power to yeah. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and open up the mailbag. And as usual, guys, the mailbag today, because I don't have any questions in my actual mailbag, the mailbag today is you. So any questions that you have, let's put them in the chat here. Let's see if I missed any here. Does not look like it. Love to see all the bells. Make sure we're getting some likes of the stream, guys. Like the little hearts on the side are cute and they're fun. But actually liking the stream helps get our message out there, right? I mean, guys, listen, I don't call out other companies by name here, whether education or prop firms, but some of them have a certain message that is just not right for traders, right? Like buy as many accounts as you need, copy trade 25 accounts, or my favorite, like consistency rules and funded and not putting you into live brokerage accounts. Like that's, or YOLO this and, withdraw into like that, non-patience, that's not the message. Guys, I tell you all the time, that's the reason I agreed to do the show on behalf of the Blue Sky guys, right? They have a commitment to education. Their profit model is to see you in a real money account killing it, right? That's what you want. That's what they want. Okay, so they're a business. They're trying to make money, but when your interests align with a particular business, that's who you should be doing business with. All right? So don't think of yourself as a customer. Okay, your trading business is deciding who to do business with. Okay, and in terms of companies, in terms of educators, in terms of all of that, that's how you have to view it. If you don't look at your trading as a business, guys, I have a whole 4-hour course that I used to sell. I still bundle it in. I don't sell it individually anymore. Called Trading as a Business. When I was in college, I wanted to be a basketball coach, right? Or I wanted to either be a coach or an agent. I was big into sports, raised on sports. My dad was an athletic director, all that kind of stuff. And so that's the world I wanted to be in. I was in it for several years until I realized that I didn't want to be poor until I was 60. And so I moved into trading, and that's kind of how the education and the coaching side of it naturally came out after that, right? But I had to have with my sports management major, I had to have a business minor, right? And so I sat through a bunch of business classes over the years. I paid attention, took notes, I think I had a B- average in those. And most of them I enjoyed. Some I was like, but I made probably 20 or 30 business plans over the years for various projects or stuff like that. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to use this. Well, guess what? Your trading is a business. I have a business plan for my trading. I have a business plan for my trading education business. If you don't have a business plan for your trading, you're missing out. And guys, I do believe the Small Business Administration website has a very good, I think I've used this before. I think I'm 95% sure it's where I got the template that I use for a business plan. Or you just, Google business plan. Now, you don't need stuff like employment, how many employees do you need? But you do need a budget. How much are you going to spend on, you can't just say, I'm gonna reload a eval every chance I get. No, you got to have a monthly budget, a quarterly budget, yearly budget, whatever the case may be. And if you blow through that, like any good business, you got to step back and say, okay, I didn't get an ROI on this. How do the exercise I always use for those of you that have spent, let's say $5,000 on trading evals over the years. Okay. And let's say you could go back in time and you have that $5,000 sitting in your bank account. And you have a friend who comes up to you with a business opportunity and it happens to cost that $5,000. And let's pretend this isn't some BS. This isn't, we all have that friend or relative or whatever who's like, yeah, man, I got this, business plan, sort of the Uncle Ricos of the world, right? But it's somebody you trust, maybe somebody who runs a successful business. And so they come to you, and so you don't dismiss them out of hand. And they say to you, whatever your name is, I've got this opportunity. Here's what it's going to cost. What's the very first thing you're going to ask? Okay, let me see your business plan. Or even if you don't phrase it like that, you're going to want to know how am I eventually going to get this money back and then some. Okay, if you're promising me a 20% return within 5 years or even more, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to open a burger joint. Well, don't ever get in restaurants, guys. I have some friends involved in that. But okay, we got 5 burger joints in town. How are you going to be different? Why are people going to come to your place rather than someplace else? Okay, or you're going to open a bike shop. We got a really good bike shop in my town. I was just there the other day. That's why I remember, they do good work. Their prices are fair, not outrageous, not a bargain, but they're fair. They have good inventory. That, okay. I'm sure they have I don't know if they have business plan anymore. They've been open like 80 years. But you understand what I'm saying. There needs to be a cohesive business plan in your trading. Okay, let me catch up on the... If you're not scalping, is waiting for a candle close recommended relative to the time frame you're executing on? Raxis, that's a great question. And the answer is mostly yes, you need to wait, okay? It depends on what your setup is, okay? If your setup is based on candlesticks, then as Steve Neeson, one of the OGs of candlesticks, will tell you, you never make a judgment on a candle that's not closed yet. Now, listen, if it's a big old candle like this one and there's 30 seconds left till the candle close, you can cheat a little bit, just a little bit, okay? But if it's, one of these candles like this and you want to say, well, this is a doji or this or that, and it's not and it's not closed, then no, you need to wait for it to close. Guys, patience is never a bad thing in this business. Now, yes, if you're overly patient, you're going to miss out on some trades from time to time, yes. But you're going to get into far more trades that you shouldn't. One of the best pieces of advice is one of my first trading mentors in options. She told me, better to wish you were in a trade than wishing you were out of a trade. Okay? So just something to keep in mind. In general, yes, candlestick practitioners will tell you to wait till a candle closes to make a judgment on it. But it's okay as you're watching one to say, okay, if this candle closes above here, this is an engulfing candle, and it's going to signal along for me. Okay? So I want to catch up on some of the other questions as well. I'm glad you like it, Casey. All right, I got time for one more. We'll be painting that. Wow. Be painting a quote. I feel honored. All right, guys, we got time for one more question here before we wrap up. And then we will move into Tuesday. Now, keep in mind, guys, FOMC's Wednesday afternoon. I believe it's 2 o'clock Eastern. Probably there's always some movement on that, right? There'll be a lot of volume that comes in the market. The algos will be playing around. I'm going to guess big money's going to wait until Jay Powell starts talking, which is usually at 2:30 Eastern time, right? And any time from 2:30 to the close, you could see just a dramatic spike. Somebody's going to ask him, for his outlook on raising rates, lowering rates, whatever the case may be. But I do think the markets are going to start throwing a temper tantrum if they don't get their rates lowered pretty soon. Remember, we came into 2024 expecting, I think they said 4 to 5 rate decreases, and we haven't had one yet, and we're pushing May, and it doesn't look like we're getting one in June either. Tomorrow's show, I'll pull up I'll make sure I have the rate thing ready to go, and I'll show you the next couple of meetings on that. We'll talk about that. Shane, just direct message me on Discord. All right, guys. So I think we're about wrapping up if nobody has any additional questions. Tomorrow, guys, so Blue Sky's been kind enough to do a lot of giveaways on Thursdays usually. Now, there's always going to be flash sales, flash giveaways. You got to tune in every day. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to be giving away a couple of some things that I've never given away before. And maybe we'll do a one-on-one as well. But so tomorrow will be a big Touristies Trading giveaway, so I hope you'll check me out there. Guys, if you ever have any questions for the show, questions about anything that I do, check us out at Trader Matt. Just on Discord, feel free to direct message me there. You can also email me, and this goes right to me. It pops up on my phone. Give me a few hours to answer, especially if it's in the evening. Matt@TiresiasTrading.com. That's TIRESIAS trading.com. Yeah. Well, you don't need the sale today then, Shane. You need it after FOMC. All right? So that's when you need the sale, all right? Oh, it's all good. Hey, Blue Sky does some really good sales from time to time. Listen, there are some companies that always, if your sale is always 80% off, then it's not 80% off. You know what I'm saying? Then your eval just costs what it costs, right? I love these. There's companies that, I'm not going to call any out by name, and actually there's some smaller companies that do this too, where it's like our account is $700, but today only it's 90%. No, anything that's over 50% off, guys, that's perpetually over 50% off, then it's not 50% off. That's just the price, right? So yeah. Well, before I break off at another coughing fit, guys, I think it's a good idea to wrap the show here. So thank you for tuning in to another edition of Beyond the Bell. Join us back tomorrow for some special giveaways from me. And then we'll see what happens on Wednesday or Thursday. So I never know when the Blue Sky guys are giving away merch or giving away evals. They let me know like 5 minutes beforehand. But they're very generous when they do, and we all appreciate that here. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Beyond the Bell. Good night.